No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because in a war, because this is unfortunately a kind of war, you must use your elements, your forces, according with the best result you can obtain. So it's like how can I tell you?
A game of chess?
It's like a game of chess in which you place or you play with your different pieces according with the circumstances.
Are you saying, in effect, that the Argentine Navy is not capable of taking on the British fleet?
Perhaps they have more ships than we do, but this is not the factor, this is not the difference. I'm sure what we intend to do is to win.
But how? If your fleet is not involved in this battle so far, and you're putting all your efforts into what your Air Force can do, how are you going to win?
In the way we are doing till now.
Is it true that Argentina has accepted arms from other countries?
No.
None whatsoever?
No.
Is it possible that...
We are playing this role completely alone, with our means, with our possibilities.
Is it possible that in the future Argentina would accept arms from other countries? And I'm thinking in particular of Russia, and I'm thinking in particular of South Africa.
We are part of Occident, and we don't intend to make any arrange with communist countries.
Would you not agree that it would make sense for Argentina to accept arms from South Africa? After all, she is alleged anyway to possess the Exocet missile.
No. Even I don't think that South Africa can have weapons useful for us.
As we understand it, or as the British government understand it, you have so far used 4 Exocet missiles in this conflict. 2 against the Sheffield, 2 against the Atlantic conveyor. How many more have you got left?
It's part of the plans. As I told you, I don't know the plans. You know, every operation plan has a part that is a logistic support. I'm sure in this part of the plan must be say how many exercises we have. I don't know.
Do you think I'd be a million miles out if I said that you'd only got 1 left?
Say again,
Do you think I'd be very wrong if I suggested that perhaps you'd only got 1 left?
Can be, but I'm not sure. And you are also not sure. I really, I must confess, I don't understand this conflict. I cannot understand this madness. Many ships, many aircrafts, many people has been lost. And of course, everybody can replace ships, aircraft, but what can't be replaced is men. And unfortunately, many of them have died. And this is the awful part of this conflict. I really don't accept such a price for a problem like this of the Malvinas.
Are you suggesting by that this is a war that's not worth fighting?
In a certain way, yes, because even being military, I don't like this amount of victims. There's lots of
Bloodshed.
Bloodshed, right?
Given the current position of the two sides, given the level of the conflict we're now involved in, what do you think it will take to end this battle? How will it end? When will it end?
I see an excess of pride, perhaps.
Of pride?
Of pride. Pardon me, my English is, I know it's terrible. And Unfortunately, this, for me, excess of pride is not the best advisor.
It's not the best thing for the situation.
Yeah.
Do you see that excess of pride on one side or on two sides?
I guess it, perhaps in part of, in both sides, but I should say that it's this is stronger from the British side.
Some military strategists, and indeed Mr. Knott in Britain, are saying that this confrontation may be over in a few days, a few weeks. What's your view?
Austin.
All right, Bob, we are rolling.
Sheraton Hotel.
How about ABC?
Do you have anything that says BBC? Do they have anything that says BBC? It's got to be fairly large, that's the problem.
How about if we just put that painting up here?
You remember the Union lady?
No.
Write her up.
You're fine. And you acknowledge.
You are in big trouble. Touching camera equipment. Give me your wrist. Put your hand. Filter on here, and it makes for wonderfully warm and artistic photographs. Now here we have the Canonet QL17, which is a state-of-the-art camera of about 10 years ago. It's also
This is the leader. No problem.
When you're ready, Peter.
Just hold on, let's just stop.
We've got to stop, Peter, sorry.
Okay, as soon as you like, please. Okay, John.
When are you ready, Peter? Okay, Peter. Well, not exactly, Peter. I think what they are doing is actually preparing the public for the possibility of defeat. Today's communiques, for example, finally acknowledge that British troops have made advances in the Falklands. They acknowledge that there was an attack on Port Darwin. They acknowledge that there was an attack on Goose Green. Now, they say that the attack on Port Darwin was repelled, and they claim that their airplanes are now, in fact, bombing Goose Green. They're creating the impression that the situation is in control, while at the same time admitting that there have been these attacks. And one of the important chink in the Argentine propaganda armour is that they are also now saying that we have between 4,000 and 4,500 troops on the island. Earlier, you'll probably remember, they were claiming that we only had 2,000 there. So overall, I think what they're doing is preparing the ground for the possibility, anyway, of a defeat. Yes, it is to some extent. As you probably know, television programmes here, Peter, are constantly interrupted by announcements on which announcers just faithfully repeat every single thing the communiques say. And in the papers too, in fairness to the papers, it should be pointed out that they not only reflect what the communiques here say, but they do also reflect the statements from the Ministry of Defense. Leader articles in the paper, of course, pull some of those statements to pieces from time to time, but they, in fairness to them, they do reflect that opinion, and that is beginning to register with people here. There are two sides to this story, and the British may, in fact, be someone they've got to listen to. Well, I think the vast majority of them are very puzzled. Originally, of course, they thought that all the statements emanating from the Ministry of Defense were just propaganda. They didn't believe them. Now I think there's been a change of mood. We were talking to some people just last night, accountants, solicitors, people like that. They didn't know about the British advances on Port Darwin, and we told them about it. They were shocked, and among them, I got the feeling that they were actually now feeling that it is possible that Argentina will be defeated. Certainly, there's a great anxiety here about the next few days. They feel the next few days will be absolutely crucial. They know Argentine planes are now bombing Goose. That Port Darwin had been
in its closet. An estimate
rigid and strong.
An alternative focus for Argentine national.
The news that there were heavy British casualties during the landing at Fitz Roy came as no surprise to people here. They'd been told that last night in an official communique from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the details of which seem to have come closer to being the truth than past experience of Argentine claims would have led one to expect. An hour and a half ago, those same claims were repeated in the latest government statement, including the claim that HMS Plymouth had been sunk during the attack and had gone down so quickly that, according to the Argentines, many lives must have been lost. Coming as it does at a time when Argentines expected to hear of their troops coming under attack in Port Stanley, this will have done much to reinforce the junta's official line that Argentine armed forces have done much during the fighting on the islands to earn their countrymen's respect and praise. Though in spite of yesterday's events being claimed here as a great Argentine victory, people here still don't expect it to postpone the next battle, the fight for Port Stanley itself. They see yesterday's action in perspective. As the afternoon newspaper headline here put it, Britain has suffered a setback before going into battle, meaning the battle for the island's capital.
Argentines say that the frigate was sunk and not just damaged, that 2 of the landing craft were destroyed and a 3rd forced to withdraw. They also claim that in this attack and in a follow-up air assault, the British suffered very heavy casualties. They do not deny, however, that a bridgehead was established, although they decline to say just how many British troops were involved. One spokesman for the junta admitted that the landing craft involved would have been capable of taking up to 1,000 men, but he said that from Britain's point of view, the operation had been a failure and nothing like that number had actually been put ashore. The establishment of a bridgehead, however, just south of and so close to Port Stanley, tightens the cordon considerably around the Argentines there. They may soon be completely surrounded. When that happens, everyone here expects that the British will launch their final offensive of this campaign. If that happens, all the top leaders here, from President Galtieri to the commander of the troops on the island, General Mario Menendez, believe that Argentines will fight to the bitter end.
The war has had a direct effect on the church in Argentina. Suddenly, everybody's going to Mass on Sundays. Although this is a 90% Catholic country and 3/4 of its Catholics get married in church and receive First Holy Communion, as a rule, only about 14% are regular Mass goers. But even if most of Argentina's Catholics are only nominally so, the ethos is overwhelmingly Catholic. The Constitution says the president must be a Catholic and speaks of the need to uphold the Catholic faith and evangelize the Indians. There is no divorce in Argentina. Abortion is a crime, though sales of contraceptives are not illegal. And with the exception of divorce, these issues aren't controversial. The family is a strong unit, and this is a conservative church ministering in the main to a conservative people. Argentina has the largest middle class in Latin America. Buenos Aires is an affluent city, but its affluence has attracted to the capital the poor from the northern provinces. They live in makeshift barrios on the outskirts of the city. The church's ministry and style is different here. It's the sort of ministry close to the heart of John Paul II, almost a missionary church. The people here are Catholic by tradition, but many have never heard Mass or received the sacraments. There's an acute shortage of priests. Brother Derham is one of an order of Christian brothers who travel to the barrio from a school in a comfortable suburb 20 miles away. The winds of change blew through the
realizou várias missões de bombardeio sobre as tropas britânicas que desembarcaram ontem na Baía de Fitz Roy. Hoje fez tempo bom, céu claro nas Ilhas Malvinas. E a aviação argentina realizou várias missões de bombardeio sobre as tropas britânicas que desembarcaram ontem na Baía de Fitz Roy. Os ingleses desembarcaram aqui porque as outras tropas britânicas que estavam em Porto Darwin e faziam este caminho para atacar Porto Argentino não estavam conseguindo atravessar um canal que existe nessa região. Logo que os ingleses tomaram Porto Darwin, os argentinos trataram de explodir com a aviação uma ponte que existia sobre o canal, uma ponte de uns 160 metros de comprimento. Assim, só restou aos ingleses o caminho de desembarcar do outro lado do canal. Eles fizeram isso ontem, mas agora estão sendo bombardeados. Este é o vice-almirante José Lombardo, comandante do que aqui se chama Teatro de Operações do Atlântico Sul. Nesta entrevista, ele diz que as forças argentinas nas Malvinas estão preparadas para o combate inteiramente de acordo com os planos previstos. Diz que, apesar de suas perdas navais, a Inglaterra mantém uma capacidade operativa importante e explica que a função do poderio aeronaval argentino é cortar todo o apoio para os soldados ingleses que conseguiram desembarcar nas ilhas.
O Papa João Paulo II chega a Buenos Aires na sexta-feira, às 8 da manhã. No aeroporto, ele vai ser recebido pelo presidente Leopoldo Galtieri. E de lá, João Paulo II virá direto aqui para a Praça de Maio, primeira etapa de sua visita à Argentina. O programa do Papa na Argentina ainda não foi confirmado oficialmente pelo Vaticano, mas segundo o roteiro já divulgado pela Presidência da República, João Paulo II visita primeiro a Catedral de Buenos Aires, onde deverá chegar às 10 da manhã, junto com o presidente Galtieri. Meia hora depois, João Paulo II visita a Anunciatura Apostólica, onde vai permanecer 45 minutos. Em seguida, toda a comitiva segue para a Casa Rosada, onde o Papa deverá conversar com o presidente Galtieri e membros do governo. Praticamente todas as ruas de Buenos Aires estão enfeitadas com milhares de bandeiras, azul e branco, cores da Argentina, e amarelo e branco, as cores do Vaticano. Mas apesar de todos os preparativos oficiais para a visita do Papa, o povo argentino está muito preocupado com a guerra contra a Inglaterra e mais interessado nas notícias sobre a situação nas Malvinas. Para os fiéis, o momento mais importante será a visita do Papa à cidade de Luján. É que a Virgem, padroeira da Argentina, tem um significado especial na Guerra das Malvinas, já que os argentinos acreditam que em 1806 ela ajudou o povo de Buenos Aires a repelir as forças britânicas que invadiram o vice-reinado espanhol do Rio da Prata. Na sexta-feira, às 4 da tarde, o Papa vai estar aqui neste palanque. João Paulo II vai falar e rezar uma missa para milhares de fiéis que estarão aqui na cidade de Luján, a mais religiosa de toda a Argentina. Luján fica a 70 quilômetros de Buenos Aires e tem cerca de 60 mil habitantes, mas a previsão é de que venham até aqui para ver o Papa de perto quase 1 milhão de fiéis. Em termos de fé, a Virgem de Luján tem a mesma importância para os argentinos que Nossa Senhora da Aparecida tem para os brasileiros. Nas ruas de Luján, os preparativos para a visita de João Paulo II são intensos. O palanque onde o Papa vai ficar já está pronto, só faltam pequenos detalhes. Arquibancadas estão sendo montadas para o povo e o sistema de som já está instalado e só falta ser testado. Nas ruas e nas dezenas de lojas que só vendem artigos religiosos, só se fala em João Paulo II. A Basílica de Luján, uma das mais antigas da Argentina, com 350 anos, também está sendo preparada. A Virgem de Luján, protetora dos argentinos, é uma pequena imagem que foi trazida do Brasil por portugueses em 1630. E a partir de hoje, a igreja será fechada e só será reaberta quando o Papa chegar. Para os moradores de Luján, a visita do Papa é mais uma esperança de paz.
Penso que esperamos un estímulo, una ayuda, un conforto e saber que estamos unidos e unido ele esperamos a paz.
Se a senhora pudesse fazer um pedido ao Papa, o que a senhora pediria?
¿Qué le pediría, dice usted? Bueno, que la visita de él sea que tenga el valor para poder que esto termine, que venga la paz y que todos estemos tranquilos y amigos. ¿O no?
Todos unidos. Todos. Mucha paz, mucha tranquilidad. ¿Para qué tanta sangre? ¿Para qué tanta muerte? ¿No es cierto?
A missão dos aviões argentinos tem sido muito facilitada pela ausência dos aviões ingleses dos céus das Malvinas. E sempre que isso é notado, os militares aqui voltam a lembrar as avarias ao porta-aviões inglês Invencível que teriam sido causadas por um ataque aéreo argentino a 30 de maio. Hoje, por todo o dia, rádios e televisões da capital convocaram a população para um grande ato público amanhã às 6 da tarde na Praça de Maio, com a presença do presidente Leopoldo Galtieri. Por todo o dia de amanhã vão acontecer solenidades, cerimônias em memória dos mortos argentinos nesta Guerra das Malvinas. Jornal Nacional, Buenos Aires.
What Argentina is reading all about today is the claim that a British landing force was virtually annihilated yesterday while trying to establish a new beachhead about 15 miles from Port Stanley. A frigate destroyed, 3 transport ships severely damaged, numerous British casualties, possibly in the hundreds, according to the Argentine Military High Command, which admits to the loss of 2 of its own planes. Concerning Argentine troops on the front, military censors here continue to portray an antiseptic war, soldiers happy and well-fed. Little to indicate the weariness and wretchedness of battle. Argentina hasn't released a casualty count in more than a week. These pictures, obtained by CBS News, were said to have been taken in the Falklands capital about 10 days ago. The soldiers send regards to parents and relatives. The medics say there's no need to worry back home. Things are all right. Whether the troops are all right is open to speculation. There are whispered stories in Buenos Aires about Argentine troops being in poor health and poor spirits. Argentine authorities deny that, and they insist that their troops have not been cut off from the mainland, that the airlift to the Falklands is successfully bypassing or penetrating the British blockade. Morton Dean, CBS News, Buenos Aires.
Argentina's president, General Leopoldo Galtieri, told his cabinet that the country will not surrender the islands, which are called the Malvinas here. He did not rule out negotiations, but said they could occur only if Argentine dignity and honor were protected. The war is extracting a price on the home front. Argentina's economy, hit hard by severe inflation and unemployment even before the fighting, is now reeling from the added costs. The government has ordered a one-time emergency tax to pay civil service salaries and has ordered that streetlights be turned off. But Jose Cohen, a former Argentine naval captain who is now a military analyst, says economic problems will not undermine the war effort.
Well, I think the economic situation of Argentina, as everybody knows, is not very brilliant, but we are determined to use every every dollar in our reserves to get what we need for this war.
Preparations are in full swing for Pope John Paul's visit to Argentina at the end of the week, a trip he announced to balance out his earlier visit to Britain. To mark the occasion, the military government announced today it will free more than 200 prisoners who have been detained for political reasons. Eric Engbert, CBS News, Buenos Aires.
Argentina is shopping all over the world for missiles that could be used against the British fleet, planes and spare parts to replace what has been lost in this undeclared war, and a variety of other arms considered vital to the military. Tuesday evening, Argentina's Minister of Defense and Interior Minister met with a dozen representatives of Latin American countries that are believed to be supplying some of those arms directly and helping to secretly funnel arms from such countries as Israel and Libya. New York Times reporter Edward Schumacher quoted Argentine sources and unnamed arm dealers that said Argentina had offered up to $1 million for deadly Exocet anti-ship missiles that normally cost $200,000, and had purchased more than 20 Israeli-modified daggers and a handful of French-made Mirage 3 jets. Defense Minister Amadeo Frúgoli refused comment on the report.
Esto entra dentro de lo que
That is inside the realm of military security, and I cannot comment publicly. All of this problem is one only the military junta can answer.
Frúgoli also said he would be unable to talk about arms purchases from Israel, but Frúgoli and Interior Minister Alfredo Saint-Jean toasted with the ambassador from Peru and other countries, including Venezuela and Brazil, that are reportedly helping Argentina to buy the arms it wants. The celebration or tribute to the Latin American countries that have sided with Argentina was off limits to most of the press, and CNN was invited to leave minutes after it recorded the scene. Peru has denied it is sending arms to Argentina, as have other countries in Latin America. Israel has also denied selling arms to Latin American nations who have plans to funnel those arms directly to Argentina's war effort against Great Britain. Despite those denials, Argentina has gone to great lengths to extend thanks for assistance from Latin American neighbors, and the presence of Defense Minister Frúgoli seemed to indicate the appreciation was in order on more than just the diplomatic front. Jim Clancy, CNN, Buenos Aires.
Stormy rhetoric thundered out of Buenos Aires Wednesday, while chances for a quick and peaceful solution to the island's crisis appeared cloudy. President Leopoldo Galtieri told the National Cabinet, "Mrs. Thatcher is out to humiliate us, and we will not accept that," as the Argentine military appears prepared now for a prolonged battle with Great Britain. Galtieri said Argentina is willing to negotiate, but not unilaterally withdraw from the islands, the one precondition set down by the British that stands in the way of a ceasefire. Skies over the Malvinas or Falkland Islands remained clear for the second day in a row, but the British refrained from what is expected to be the decisive assault at Puerto Argentino or Port Stanley. Argentina reported their fighter jets heavily damaged 3 landing craft and sunk the British frigate Plymouth off Fitz Roy Bay. The British verified the attack but denied their frigate was lost. Interior Minister General Alfredo St. Jean announced the release of 244 so-called political prisoners, a humanitarian gesture meant to coincide with the visit of Pope John Paul II later in the week. Nobel Peace Prize winner Alfredo Perez Esquivel, imprisoned himself without charges for more than a year, called the gesture promising, but said if the military government felt moved to benevolence, they would release the remaining prisoners held under the national security laws. 262 remain behind bars. When questioned about the release of political prisoners at a cocktail party for foreign diplomats, one Argentine official prefaced his remarks with, "Of course you must realize there are no political prisoners in Argentina." James Alan Miklashevsky, CNN, Buenos Aires.
"We sank the frigate Plymouth," crowed one newspaper headline in Buenos Aires today. Others also echo the government's claims of sinking the frigate, heavily damaging landing craft, and inflicting severe casualties on British troops trying to establish a new beachhead yesterday. Sources here say one landing craft ran aground and became an easy target, and that there were 3 waves of air attacks, 1 against the vessels and 2 against British troops already ashore. Argentina acknowledges losing only 2 planes. There are reports here that Argentina is having no problems getting more. The government news agency says 24 Skyhawks like these and 24 Dagger jet fighters have arrived from Israel, and other arms are coming in from Libya, Peru, Brazil, and Venezuela, including Venezuelan Mirage jets, which have already been repainted. There are reports here that Argentina is having no problems getting more. The government news agency says 24 Skyhawks like these and 24 Dagger jet fighters have... No, I'm sorry, I almost read it again. Take 2. 3, 2, 1. There are reports here that Argentina is having no problems getting more. The government news agency says 24 Skyhawks like these and 24 Dagger jet fighters have been purchased from Israel, and other arms are coming in from Libya, Peru, Brazil, and Venezuela, including Venezuelan Mirage jets, which have already been repainted.
Pope John Paul's first visit to Argentina was announced only 3 weeks ago. It was the Vatican's way of balancing the Pope's recent tour of Britain and showing that the pontiff was not taking sides in the South Atlantic War. Hasty preparations are still underway for the visit, which is scheduled to last 33 hours. In Buenos Aires, a park is being readied for an outdoor mass, while the local automobile club is preparing a special car, dubbed the Popemobile. Despite the war, the church says the trip is strictly a pastoral one. The Pope will meet Argentina's President Galtieri, but the Vatican says this should be seen as parallel to the meeting with the Queen during the British tour. The Pope will be driven the 60 kilometres to Luján, which has been a place of pilgrimage for over 300 years. The Virgin of Luján is the protector of Argentina, and it's being predicted that the crowd for the Mass in the provincial city will number in the millions. What's described as the central act of the Pope's visit will be the Mass here at Luján Basilica. It's the most sacred place in Argentina, and it will be a bright moment for an apprehensive nation at war. Graham DeBell in Luján for ABC News.
Esto puede ser independiente. Sí, eso sí puede ser. Sí, pero para cubrir el cura lo... 23. 233, sí. ¿Cuánto le dijo? 240. 233, 240. Por la duda me he equivocado. ¿Me va cantando? 152.
Se comenzó el día jueves. El miércoles nos avisaron a nosotros que teníamos que preparar el vehículo papal. El jueves lo hemos comenzado en tiempo récord. Como usted ve, se ha hecho un trabajo que aproximadamente tardaría 30 días, se ha hecho en el término de 4 días. Los vidrios son especiales y son antibala. Está cubierto por una lámina de acero con un piso de quebracho de 2 pulgadas para evitar esquillas y todas cosas que podía ocurrir un atentado o algo así. Importancia, ya le dije que está hecho, importancia, como usted lo puede ver acá, se han tomado todos los recaudos necesarios para que brinde seguridad al Santo Padre.
Sources here say some of Argentina's new weaponry will not be operational in time to play any part in the defense of Port Stanley. But they say there is growing sentiment within the military for going on with the war, even if Port Stanley is lost. Continued hit-and-run air attacks aimed at prodding the British into negotiations on the future of the islands. Preparations are intensifying for Pope John Paul's visit to Argentina Friday and Saturday. There had been hopes that his visit might help heal this country's emotional war wounds. But some military sources are now predicting that just about the time the pontiff arrives with his call for peace, the biggest battle of the war will be beginning at Port Stanley. Barry Seraphin, ABC News, Buenos Aires.
You